Now, call me cynical. That's it. Just call me cynical.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all the Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it now, and on Instagram. You can follow me. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but the best way to get a hold of me is right here on YouTube for those of you following, and just put your comments down in the comments section. And hey, I am hard at work at the brand new In Memoriam video, which I intend to release in the middle of March, just before they start the season in Japan again. I I have to say this before we get on to some of the topics we're going to talk about today. I may rant a little bit today, so you gotta bear with me here. But I hate when they start the season in Japan and Australia and Korea, wherever they put it overseas. I don't mind having a Japan series, having a London series, having a whatever series. I don't mind that. I hate starting the season that way. And how many times since we started this podcast that we have to have a season start like this because it feels like a soft open. You have two games like last year. You had the two games that were played overseas in was it Korea or Japan? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It was over in Asia, and then you had a couple games that are played there, and then nothing, and everyone goes back to spring training, and then the season starts, and that feels like the soft opening of a muffin shop. Opening day should be this thing where all the teams play. You don't have all the teams playing the final day of the season, and they start all the games at the same time. They should do that with opening day. All the games are going on at once. Let's start the season. Now, I've said before many, many times, I think they should start the season with the All-Star break, a big celebration. All the big stars come out. It's fun. It's a celebration of baseball. But if you're going to have opening day, I hate that it's being played at a different time. Only two are played. It just feels like an anticlimactic way to start the season. And this is not xenophobia. As I said, I have games played all around the world. Just start the season that way because it makes the beginning of the season really feel, I don't know. It's awkward. It's awkward. But there's some other awkward things going on in baseball, and we're going to cover that. M I mentioned the fact that you can call me cynical. I just dropped my pen in case you're wondering what that Tic Tac sound was. Um, there's news coming about the stadium situations with the Rays and the A's. We both know they're both in stadium nightmares for the 2025 season. It's just a total nightmare. One was created by Mother Nature. The other was created by a nepo baby who got a lot of blue jean money. But the news we're getting about these stadiums really make me feel like, wow. Um, if something doesn't happen really soon, you're going to have two teams playing in minor league stadiums for the foreseeable future. And the news we're getting about the supposed stadiums that are being built for them make me really nervous, not just because one of them looks like the owners of a team is getting cold feet. One of them, they literally have to go back to the drawing board, and both of them are not addressing the world that we currently live in. But before we go to that, let's go to the trivia question because I'm going back to doing the trivia question. The trivia question was, who has the most home runs in the history of the Los Angeles Dodgers? Duke Snider has the most home runs for the Dodger franchise as a whole. He played the majority of his games and got the majority of his home runs as a member of the Brooklyn Dodgers. He got about, a handful of his home runs towards the end of his career in Los Angeles. Who has the most for the LA Dodgers? John Cox, 1488, got it correct. Eric Karros is the current LA Dodger leader. career home run leader, and his son should be in high A in their system this year. I'll tell you who it should have been. It should have been Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza, who was born to be a Dodger, was drafted as a favorite to Tommy Lasorda and became a Hall of Fame caliber player. And because of a contract dispute with Fox, remember Fox owned Dodgers for about an hour and a half? They butted heads with Piazza, traded him to the Marlins. He was with the Marlins about as long as I was before he was traded to the New York Mets. And if I mention Mike Piazza, you would probably think of him as a Met. That's what his hat is on the Hall of Fame plaque, and his greatest highlight of his career was hitting the post 9/11 home run, and is one of the most beloved figures in New York Met history. He should have been the greatest offensive player in Los Angeles Dodgers history. I digress. I hosted Locked On A's this last year, had a lot of fun doing it. But and I'm not hosting it anymore because I can't host 2 daily baseball podcasts. That's doing about 10 episodes a week. That's too much even for your pal Sully. I have been cynical about the move to Las Vegas all last year. Now, I could not make it any clearer. I want the A's to stay in Oakland, but that ship has sailed. And I felt there were other markets that were much better than Las Vegas as a potential landing spot for a Major League Baseball team. I actually do not think Las Vegas is a good market for Major League Baseball. I've said that over and over again. If a team does indeed move there, and I'm going to phrase it like that, then I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong, because I want 30 franchises to be healthy, financially healthy, and putting a good product on the field. And if the A's wind up playing in Las Vegas, and I'm sorry, folks, you have to say if, I want it to be a success. I don't root for failures in terms of a team and a fan base. But have you seen one of the issues? And I'm getting my news here not from angry A's bloggers or even Jason Burke, the former host of Locked On A's, who does a lot of stuff online for Sports Illustrated. No, everything from the Las Vegas Review Journal, who have basically been cheerleaders for the A's move to Las Vegas. And in some of the articles that I've been reading, first of all, they're saying that the tourism in Las Vegas is it's down significantly over the last few years. Which, when you consider tourism is supposedly going to be the big thing that's going to drive fans to come to A's games, because when you're a tourist, you're an out-of-town tourist, and you're thinking, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go see Penn and Teller? Am I going to see Celine Dion? Or am I going to see the A's play the Rangers? Which one are the tourists going to go to see? But once again, there have been plans and renderings for the new stadium in Las Vegas that's supposedly going to be built on the old Tropicana site, supposedly opening by 2028. And supposedly the groundbreaking is going to be in the first third of this year. Well, we're in the back 9 of February. Does anybody see this starting in the next couple of months? I'm not, and I'll tell you why. The last renderings, and I will admit, the new stadium looks cool. It looks exactly what I wanted them to build in Oakland, which is something futuristic, not phony, traditional, but like embracing some sort of new look. It has that Sydney Opera House look, and it's really kind of cool. But they're kind of forgetting some things. The first renderings they did were basically AI generated, and they looked ridiculous. And each time they keep adding things and keep adding things. But now they are like several thousand parking spots short of what they're supposed to have. They haven't built enough parking. And the footprint that they have this gigantic stadium it's not that big. And they have to have, I think it's 1 parking spot for every 3 people who are there. plus for employees. I forget the exact ratio, but they have fallen thousands of parking spots short of what they're supposed to have for the stadium in the new renderings, in the new plans, which means they literally have to go back to the drawing board. Now, I've been following the A's potential stadiums for literally decades. I mean, absolutely decades. And I've done videos here where talk about they were going to build something in Fremont, they're going to build something near Mills College, they're going to build something in San Jose, they're going to build something by a Howard Terminal. I think they just should have built something in the Oakland Coliseum parking lot because the Raiders aren't there anymore, the Warriors aren't there anymore. There's enough room to build something there. There's already infrastructure, the BART and all the highways go there. We already know what's going on there. Why not build this, eggshell thing there? Or San Jose made tons of sense. But either way, I've been seeing renderings, and some of these renderings are mwah, chef's kiss, beautiful. There's a problem. None of them were built. There was always an impracticality. And here we are. This is at the point where we're like, okay, are we hiring the contractors? Are we ready to start building? And we're still holding up renderings. We're obviously a lot of work to be done. I mean, consider me jaded on the A's situation in terms of a stadium. But when we are now in at least the third decade of me seeing renderings, I'm not gonna get excited until I start seeing something built. And do we know the fish sorry, I just bit my tongue. Do we know that the Fishers have the money to do this? That they're not that they're having the investors to do this? Do we know that's really happening? I don't trust the Fishers. They've shown that they're dishonest people. But do we know it's happening? That they'll be able to match any delta they have in terms of beyond what the what the city and the state and the county are throwing into the pot? And I can't stress this enough, and I've said this over and over again. This penny I'm holding up is more money than should be spent of public money on any stadium project. I'm not reaching across the aisle here, but aren't we all hearing about stories of trying to cut waste and make things more efficient? Well, how about not spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a baseball stadium? That's more efficient. Look at that. Look at me aligning with the right on this. But the fact of the matter is, I don't buy it. There's still obviously no one's checking what they're doing. Do you honestly believe that they're gonna get this thing ready and start building it soon? Honestly, they can't even get parking right. And I'm gonna talk about something a little bit later, but the fact of the matter is they're not even addressing some of the realities of what it will take to get big crowds there. But while things are bad with the potential Sacramento/Oakland/Las Vegas A's, things are actually kind of sort of worse with the Tampa Bay Rays because the way things are unfolding there, file it under yikes, but we may be further away from a stadium situation in Tampa Bay than we were just a month or so ago. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Olympics, winning a Stanley Cup. Same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $7 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer a one-size-fits-all policy, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. You're in good health? Hey, you may even qualify for a same-day coverage up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/locked on. Go to selectquote.com/locked on today to get started. That's selectquote.com/locked on. SelectQuote. They shop and you save. SelectQuote. Now, the A's are going to be playing in Sacramento for, I think, the next 20 years. I don't see. I think that they are going to go play in Sacramento. I think Sacramentans are going to embrace the team, and I think eventually the Fishers are going to say, "Oh, to hell with us," and sell the A's. And they'll build a stadium in. They'll eventually expand on Sutter Health Park and create a new state. That's what I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Because I don't think the Vegas thing. I think the Vegas thing is years away from happening. And I think eventually the Fishers are going to cut bait. But I could very well be wrong. They could, who knows? They could come back, add another parking structure, and build it. And in 2020, after 3 years in Sacramento, they'll go to Vegas, and I'll be proven wrong. And I'll eat crow if they get to Vegas and they're success in Vegas. I will eat crow. I want them to be a success wherever they land. Tampa Bay is a different situation. This is not a situation that was built upon by greed and a lying, deceitful owner. This was a management of their team. The Rays management wants the team to work in Central Florida. I honestly believe that. And they put together a deal with Pinellas County and St. Petersburg. And then Hurricane Milton and the other one, I can't remember the name, forgive me, ripped the roof off the track. And they're going to be playing in the Yankees minor league, the George Steinbrenner Field, the spring training home for the 2025 season, but we're not sure where they're going to be playing after that. And now there's the infighting that's going on regarding that stadium is really disturbing if you're a Rays fan. What it strikes me is what's happening there. It feels like the Rays are getting cold feet. Like they're looking around and they woke up and they said what most of us have been thinking, like, holy crap, why are we going to build a stadium in St. Petersburg? That's the wrong place. Oh my God, did they agree to this? We can get out of this. And when people start pointing fingers and blaming and start talking about deals in the past tense, that's a giant red flag. Now, Pinellas County and St. Petersburg were seeing that the Rays were getting cold feet on the deal that the Rays proposed. This was what the Rays wanted. And so Pinellas County said, all right, fine, let's put up for a vote. We'll go with it. And St. Petersburg, we'll put in our money and we'll put in our money. Now the rest is up to you, Rays. And they were basically calling the Rays bluff. Okay, fine. We all agree on the agreement that we agreed to. And now the Rays are starting to say some things that are, I don't know, big red flags in terms of burning proverbial bridges. There was they did their season preview show on WDAE, and Rays team presidents Brian Auld and Matt Silverman, in alphabetical order, said that Pinellas County was breaking their agreement. They said they turned their back on the commitment they made to us in August. And I have a real hard time understanding that, because what the Pinellas County did was say, okay, fine, we're going with the deal. But they didn't put the money, they didn't increase the money that was being spent on and everything, or put money into the repair of the trop, because they're like, hey, we just got hit with hurricanes. We got bigger fish to fry, bigger Rays to fry than your stadium. And suddenly it's making it look like the Rays are trying to say, oh, we did everything we could, when in actuality, the two government bodies were like saying, okay, we agree to the deal, let's go. And it was delayed a month because of the hurricane, but now they're saying, well, that's going to put us a year behind. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. It's going to add $100 million to the project. Okay, but it's a multi-billion-dollar project. So hurricanes and things like that are things you're going to get used to. And everything is pointing to they're looking for a way out. Now, they never got the Ybor City money. The stadium should be in downtown Tampa. I've said this before. I don't want to hear anyone trashing Rays fans. The stadium's in the wrong place. They built the stadium before people knew what the stadium trends were going to be in the 90s. It was built in the 80s to try to get the White Sox here. So it was already obsolete before they even played their first game there. But we've seen Tampa Bay fans or Tampa fans embrace their teams, like especially, the Lightning have been successful and drawn pretty well, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had drawn pretty well. So they have fans there, and they've got a great downtown. Put a ballpark there, and they'll be able to have something. But they don't. No one wants to go driving to St. Petersburg. They haven't done that since Bill Clinton was in office, and we've known that the location was wrong. And maybe there's a situation where the Rays are like, well, they're going to say no, and we can say that the government didn't put it up, and then we can move. I don't think they expected to have the Pinellas County and St. Petersburg to say yes. But now I think it's pretty clear. Once the finger pointing starts, once the name calling and the blame game kicks in, it's tough to go back from that. It's tough to recover from that. And with that in mind, yeah, I think they're going to play a season in the George Steinbrenner Field. I don't see them ever coming back, and I don't want to have any franchises move. I make that clear. But once you get to this point, this is that point of no return. I saw the same thing happen in Oakland. Once the finger pointing started, there was no coming back. There was no coming back. There was too much bad blood. And the fact that the Rays are the ones pulling out of the deal, that they are the ones who instigated, that both sense of the parts of the government were the ones who said, yeah, all right, we'll hold up our end. You got to do the rest. And if the answer is, well, you got to give us more money because of, the hurricane and everything. No, 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 no. You got the money. You got the money we agreed to. You bought the couch. And again, I can't make it any clearer. Public money should not be spent on stadiums. It shouldn't be. They're not public entities. It's not infrastructure. It's not things we all use. It's not fire departments. It's not a public school. It's not even it's not even the shrubs around City Hall. It's a private business's place of business. So the fact they're getting anything, much less hundreds of millions of dollars to build something there, they have to have there's a deadline for this deal to work out, and it's the end of the month, right around the time opening day is for the Rays. And if that falls through, it falls through. And with that, the Rays could lose a lot of land, which they were going to build a stadium, but also develop it around it with, homes and hotels and convention centers and restaurants and shopping and everything. And they could lose all that. But I got to bring up something here. It's 2025, and baseball, as they almost always do, are behind the times. And I can't help but wonder if some of the things that these people who want to build new stadiums and create new stadium experiences are hearkening to a time that's probably never going to come back. And it may haunt the Rays and the A's as they're trying to build this new stadium without taking into account the year 2025. Now, I mentioned tourism with the A's, and I keep hearing things like the A's are expecting to sell out the next bunch of years because there's going to be all these tourists coming to see the new stadium. And if they make the stadium a a tourist attraction, the way that Camden Yards was when that was built in 1992 when they opened there and became a draw, I'm sure we'll have uh, pretty good attendance the first couple of years in Vegas. But eventually that fades out and a new thing comes about. Remember there was that big pirate ship that they built in Vegas that a lot of people wanted to go see that. And once I saw that, I don't think the pirate ship's there anymore. Things move on. If you are a tourist, as I mentioned, if you're a tourist coming into Las Vegas, you can see Penn and Teller, you can see Celine Dion, you can see whoever the next big star is there. You can see the A's play the Rays. Which one is going to get that attention. Of course, they haven't built enough parking spots there. And one of the things you heard the A's or some of the management saying, well, there's going to be a lot of walk up. There could be a lot of walk up. People walk around Vegas. I'm sorry, you're talking a lot of walk up traffic when it's 110 degrees in Las Vegas in August. People are going to stay in their casinos, go eat the crab legs and get trashed and go play blackjack, and then go see my friends playing at the comedy show. It does take into account the reality of that tourism that's already, uh, not really at its peak these days, and we've seen a dip in it. Probably come back. It's probably, if it comes back to at least pre-COVID levels, that's fine. But what's the big draw for the A's going to be? It's not going to be the locals. They're putting it away from where locals live. So you're not going to have locals coming in, and they don't have enough parking for them anyway. And you're going to expect lots of tourists flying in from out of town. So we're going to catch an A's game. I would, but I'm a lunatic. Let some, if they're playing the Yankees, or if they're playing the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Cubs. But I mean, that same mentality was when they were playing in Oakland. I've been to plenty of Red Sox A's games, Yankee A's games where there's 20,000 people there and everyone's patting each other on the back for what a good crowd it is. You're expecting the team to sell out year in and year out? It doesn't make sense. There are other tourist attractions there. But then I'm also thinking about what the Rays are talking about, and I've heard other teams talk about this with their potential stadiums. You hear this a lot with the Royals, how they want to build a downtown park and they want to surround it with restaurants, create this little city with restaurants and shopping and hotels and convention centers. I'm sorry, restaurants and shopping? That's a lure now? Having lots of restaurants and shopping around the ballpark. Have you gone to a mall recently? Have you seen the mall situation? I spent this Christmas time between two places in California, Pasadena and Palo Alto. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go out on a limb. Those are not exactly two destitute parts of California. Pasadena is pretty affluent. Palo Alto is basically a city made of gold. I went to the shopping centers, the downtown in near Colorado Avenue in Pasadena, and the Stanford Shopping Center in Palo Alto around Christmas time. Christmas time, the time where the shopping mall, all through my life, was the center of the universe. You couldn't go to the Stanford Shopping Center and not have it be absolutely jam packed with people shopping, seeing, bumping into people, saying hi to Santa Claus, getting your presents wrapped and everything. I went there at Christmas time this year. There was tumbleweed blowing. A coyote was there. There was an old prospector on a rocking chair out front saying, "You better get on, get." I went to the Galleria in Glendale, one of the biggest shopping areas in Los Angeles County. Dead. How many stores were boarded up? Boarded up. Closed. Who goes shopping? Who goes shopping at a mall or stores? How often do you go shopping? Browse. You do that online. Everyone does. I don't care how many people get mad at tech billionaires. You're buying their stuff online. We've all found it out during the pandemic. What did we find out? We're fine at home. We're fine doing our shopping at home. Going out to dinner? Yeah, we'll have it delivered to our house. Going to the movies? I went to go see the Captain America movie this weekend. They can open this weekend or the weekend before. It's fresh out of the box Marvel film. I'm not talking about an art house film. I'm talking about the biggest franchise in all the world, the Marvel universe. I went to a theater, took my son to go see the Captain America film with Harrison Ford. It was empty. Do you know why? People aren't going to the movies. You go to the movies, each ticket costs you 20 bucks. Popcorn will cost you 8 or 9 bucks. If you're gonna get a Coke, that's 5 or 6 bucks. If you get a box of like, Junior Mints or M&Ms, if you bring 4 people to the movie theater, you're gonna be out 200, 250 bucks. Or And you have to deal with parking. You have to deal with, being around people, being loud and obnoxious in the movie theater, or you can stay on your couch, watching on a great TV, have a DoorDash come and deliver food to you. You don't have to go out. You just all watch it on the TV and enjoy yourself. My sons are college age. Do you think they go out? No, they talk to their friends on Discord. The idea of a shopping center and restaurants and a convention center being a draw for a baseball team, it also better come with a time machine that'll take you back 15 years. I have lots of friends who work in the convention world. I used to do stuff for the convention world when I worked in the tech world. And you know what? They're almost all doing them virtually. Their business is down because why go to a convention center when you can have a virtual convention? Sure, there still are some around, but most of the time they're virtual. So the idea of saying things like, oh, what's going to help the Rays draw people? Oh, we're going to have restaurants and shopping centers. Really? Now? Stop and ask yourself, are those really draws now? What is it about baseball that always seems to be a couple of decades behind? They built the stadium in Tampa Bay in the 80s, not anticipating what they found out in the 90s. Well, now everyone is still in the 90s mentality that, oh, if we build it in a downtown ballpark, we're going to have a Camden Yards. Or if you do what happened when the Braves, who had a perfectly good stadium with Turner Field, but they built the whatever it's called now in the little village just north of Atlanta. Yeah, that was fabulous in 2019. We kind of sort of had a pandemic that changed all of our habits. Baseball's been behind it so many times. They were behind it on things like, merchandising and television coverage. The NFL beat them to the punch. The NBA is doing the internet better than Major League Baseball could ever dream of. And now they're still in this mentality of blackouts, as if everyone's watching games on the TV, and cable TV deals as if we're not cord cutting. And we're gonna have restaurants and people around us. No one does that anymore. That's not gonna help raise attendance in Pinellas County or wherever, because that's something people do. People go to the ballpark because they like the communal experience there and because the game's blocked out. But when I hear things like tourism is gonna have the A's attendance in Las Vegas, really? In Vegas? And, oh, yeah, we're gonna build a team. We're gonna have this land in Tampa that they're going to develop into shopping centers and everything. Great. Why don't you have a blacksmith shop there too while you're at it? And a good vaudeville theater. I don't think we're living in the present. And I think it's going to affect the A's and the Rays. I don't want teams to move. But if the Rays can find a home in a place like Orlando and have it work there where there's a potential owners group that wants them there, um, and maybe siphon off some of the fans in Central Florida. I know Orlando is not Tampa Bay, but if they can't build a stadium in Tampa Bay, at least keep them in Central Florida. Much like the A's, I didn't want them to leave Oakland. I was fine with them going to San Jose, but I never wanted to leave Oakland. But they've left Oakland. They're not going to go to San Jose. At least keep them somewhere in Northern California. Keep them in Sacramento with it. Keep some of the fans there. Maybe build a new fan base with the Stocktons and the Modestos and the Pleasantons of the world there as well. But don't talk to me about an A's stadium being ready to build when they can't even figure out how many parking spots. They're going back to the drawing board. They're supposed to be building soon. And don't talk to me about the Rays saying, oh, they're backing out of the deal. No, they're accepting the deal. You just want more money and you have cold feet. Don't talk to me about tourism in a place that's built on tourism and other options. And don't talk to me about stores and restaurants being able to bring foot traffic to the ballpark. They couldn't bring foot traffic to Christmas. Sorry for the rant, folks. It happens from time to time. But that's going to bring us to today's trivia question. And the trivia question is Rays related. Two Hall of Famers were on the Rays' first year when they were called the Devil Rays in 1998. One of those Hall of Famers hit the first ever home run in Tampa Bay baseball history. Tampa Bay Devil Rays of 1998 had two Hall of Famers. One of them hit the first home run in Devil Rays/Rays history. Who was it? Put the answer right down here on YouTube, and you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it now, and on Instagram. You can follow me, Emery Pasalim, at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Being cynical but realistic about the mess of stadiums we're in right now. This is Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.